I want to show you what happened in Los Angeles. They was looking for the Messiah. They murdered Dr. King. They missed the Messiah. The Messiah is in their midst right now. The Messiah is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They missed him, and I'm going to prove to you by the grace of God, from my vantage point, why he is the Messiah. When Nipsey Hussle was murdered, that brother was 33 years old. Nipsey Hussle had transcended all the hoods in Los Angeles. We didn't even know it. I did not know him, but when I met him, it was in 2014. In 2005, I was protesting a police slaying of a young black boy in Los Angeles. And in the Rolling 60s neighborhood, there was a murder. That every time there's a murder in Los Angeles, I go to the scene, brothers and sisters. I've been doing it for 25 years. If I hear about it, I go. And when I get to the scene, I've embraced mothers with blood still on their garments from holding their boys who was murdered. And they would see us and they would run and hug me. Minister Tony, please stop them from killing each other. This is what I've been hearing for 25 years. But I showed up to a prayer vigil in the Rolling 60s neighborhood. Me and some FOI, and the police pulled up from out of nowhere. And I stepped off the sidewalk because LAPD in 2005 almost hit one of the participants. And when I stepped off the sidewalk, I said, "Officer, is everything all right?" He gets out of the car. He said, "Get your back." Let me shorten the story. Once he said that, I said, "Officer, I'm Minister Tony Muhammad with the Nation of Islam." He said, "I don't give a damn who you are. I'm going to ask you one more time. You get back." So I take a step back. I said, "Officer, would you get your watch, Commander?" Because I was a part of the LAPD Clergy Council. He refused, so I called the chief myself. And the chief said, "Turn and get his badge number." And when I went to get his badge number, he pepper sprayed me and some of the brothers, and the brothers beat the hell out of that LAPD. All praises due to Allah. That's exactly what we hollered. We said, "Allahu Akbar." We took their weapons. We took their radio and their badge. That's how we train, brothers. We don't carry no weapons, but if it be Allah's will, when you come at us with one, we will take it from you. By Allah's grace. That's love. So when they handcuffed me and the brothers, the police jacked me up and threw me to the ground, and I hit the ground face down, cracking most of my teeth. And the Rolling 60s, the gang members started throwing rocks at the police. I did not know that Nipsey Hussle was a young teenager, and he was one of the ones throwing rocks at LAPD. Nipsey. I didn't find this out until 2014. And in 2014, we were honoring Trayvon Martin's mother. And Nipsey Hussle was in the meeting, and when I walked in, he snatched the mic. He said, at that time, he said, "There's Minister Tony." Then he started telling about the story in the Rolling 60s neighborhood when I was praying over one of his dead homies. He talked about why they respected the nation and why they respected my leadership. I did not know this. I'm like, man, this brother was there? Then when the event was over, Nipsey Hussle came to me and said, brother, may I have a picture with you? I said, are you kidding? I want a picture with you. See, brothers, FOI. We don't even realize that when we're doing our work, you may not realize it, but the stars are not the stars. Not in the eye of God. We are the real stars because our people depend on us being out in the community, out among them. Huh? They're not going to tell you they love you, but they glad you there. They hard. They can't act like they like you. They blood and cripping it. They ain't gonna say I love you. You know, when the streets like you, you'll be good if you get one of these. That's it. That man just expressed love to you like you never seen. And they don't smile. It's like this. Now they smile at y'all. They go, y'all all right? And these are the words he said to me. He said, brother, I want you to know, Minister Muhammad, I respect you. And he thanked me for nearly giving my life for their hood. And I said, brother, it wasn't just for your hood. I said, I'm blood and cuz. And I ain't gonna let you differentiate me from nobody. And now that I'm in Chicago, I'm an El Rookin. I'm a Latin king. I'm a folk corner gangster. Hey, man, whatever you are, I'll meet you there. See, brother, that's what we have to. We have to meet them where they are. We can't go in there being above the hood. You meet the hood where they are. That's what the ministers say. Go to them. Sometimes I go by myself. The brothers playing dominoes, and I go play dominoes with them just to get their attention. So, hey, nigga, what you got? Nigga, what you got? And then as I'm playing dominoes, I'm like, hey, man, y'all know what them crackers about to do, right? No, Brother Muhammad, what they about to do? Check this out. Then dominoes is over. But dominoes was the bait that I got to their head. I go into Watts and we're walking through Watts. Brother will be cutting hair outdoors. I get in his barber's chair. So as he cutting my head, I'm teaching his. Nipsey said, brother, I want you to know that my father used to put me and my brother in the car. And he would bring us to the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson and make us watch the FOI sell papers and pies. And he would turn to us and say, now that's discipline. That's how you get your grind on. And that's why he made a song about grinding all my life. Huh? He said, brother minister, he said, I need help. Would you minister to me? I said, brother, I'm obligated to minister to you. And we exchanged numbers. And since 2014, maybe 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 times a year, he'd call me. And he was having problems in his hood because they got hood politics. And he was asking me, how, man, do I do what I do and help the homies? And I would say, brother, use your time and your talent. I would give him what the minister gave me. That's all I knew. I said, don't ever leave your hood. Don't ever make them think you better than them. Go serve them, brother. I would just drop little tidbits. Then he said to me, and I didn't know, he said, oh, I also do music with your son. I'm like, what? I said, no wonder my son be so high. It's you he hanging out with. Oh, come on, get off it, brother. Yeah, our children, some of our children get high. But God got our children on a mission. Don't judge your children in the nation. They're going to be all right. You stop panicking. I went to the minister one time about my son crying. He said, brother, leave him alone. Because sometimes you beating him with Islam. And he's looking at your hypocrisy. Come on now, our children know when we're at home, we ain't got them headpieces on. My son saw aspects of my hypocrisy. Oh, it got quiet up in here. And the minister said, no, brother, he's going to be all right. He's got enough Islam in him, you'll see. Leave him alone. And when he returns, he'll be like the prodigal son. And when he starts coming back, just go kiss his neck and break out a fatty cabbage. Little did I know my son was in the studios influencing the artists. And when T.I. said when he met Nipsey, Nipsey was the only rapper to give him a book. And when the people asked Nipsey, what book was it? He said, Message to the Black Man. This book right here. Oh, you ain't got this book? Wherever you at around the world, you better get this book. Brother Fontaine, look, I've been inboxed from brothers from Yemen, Palestine. We got to get this in Chinese. We got to get this book in Japanese. Now, this book is a message to the black man, and black is not a color. It is the essence from which all color comes from. Every human being got to have a message to the black man. Let me just put it right there. Every human being should have this on their shelf. So T.I., we can't even keep this book. I did not know it was my son that influenced Nipsey to get this book, because my son, unbeknownst to me, stole my books. I guess I wasn't reading them. And he said, no, Dad, I'm in the studio. They all would watch me read, and then that's how I create. So my son is on a song called Picture Me Rolling. You'll hear him singing on that. I did not know all of this was happening. And when Nipsey was murdered, listen at this. His security, along with his wife, Sister Lauren London, she came to me. And his security said, Minister, I want to tell you something about Nipsey. He stopped looking at TV 3 years ago, at number 3. And he would only watch documentaries. Then he said there was only 3 people he would listen to lecture. Number 1, they told me he listened to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They said number 2, he would sometime listen to T.D. Jakes. And then 3, they said he would listen to the series that I used to lecture in L.A. He said he did that religiously. Nipsey. Then we found out, y'all ready for this? That Nipsey, 2 weeks before he was murdered, Nipsey Hussle. This is why his music, his album is called The Victory Lap. Well, that's in the Holy Quran, called The Victory. And when you go into Surah 48, it deals with the Hudaybiyah truce. That's when all the tribes came together to form a truce. So little did Nipsey Hussle know that he was being used by God to bring the hoods together all over America. Y'all all right? His brother verified to us when Nipsey, 2 weeks before he was murdered, he put on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. He went to over 25 neighborhoods, brothers and sisters. He got on the bus. He did the unthinkable. He went to his mortal enemies. He got off the bus with all of his jewelries and said to the homies, either you're going to kill me or we're going to stop the beefing. Did you hear what I just said? The hoods were so dumbfounded that they started calling his own hood. Say, hey man, y'all homie is over here offering his life if we stop the beefing. Nipsey wanted to end all the gang wars. Nipsey was producing an album. Him and my son were producing an album for the 25,000 mothers who lost their children to gang violence in LA. Oh, Nipsey. He went to 25 neighborhoods, but it was his own hood that murdered him. And when they murdered him, my son and I, when we heard about it, we jumped in the car. And on my way, I'm getting a call from all of their rival gangs telling me, Brother Muhammad, let the homies know we didn't have nothing to do with that. Because one thing about LA gangs, when they kill you, they own it. So I'm on my way. I said, all right, homie, when I get there, I'll let them know. Because we didn't know. I'm thinking one of their mortal enemies. And the Rolling 60s, it's the second largest black gang in LA. When I get to the scene, I pull Big U to the side. I said, brother, I want you to know on my way, I got a call and I named the hoods. He said, we know it wasn't nobody from the outside. It was one of our own. They were so numb because they couldn't go on a warpath. And the next day, so many people came to pay their respects to Nipsey. Tens of thousands came out, and we had a prayer vigil. And at that prayer vigil, when I got there, the pastors ran up to me because the gang members pulled their gun out on the pastors and wouldn't let them talk. Because all the cameras was there. So all the big preachers in LA showed up to pray, and the gang members told them no. So when I showed up, the preachers came to me saying, Brother Muhammad, they won't let us speak. They won't let us pray. I said, hold on, pastors. I said, I'll ask them if they will let you pray. I said, but before I do that, let's make a pact right now. I said, I want you all to agree with me that we, the religious leaders, will stop the religious gangbanging. And the 8 pastors that was there put their hand on top of mine and said, that's on. And then when I walked in, I asked the gang members would they let them in, and they let them in. It was on a Monday. And then, after the prayer vigil, everything was peaceful, so I had to go to FOI class. So the brothers, we went to FOI class. We left just a few brothers there. I'm in class an hour and a half later, all hell breaks loose at ground zero. I get a call, oh my God, they're shooting, they're stabbing, which all was a lie. People was falling on glass, and it was the police beating the hell out of our people. So I get a call, and guess who it's from? The mayor of Los Angeles and the chief of police called Brother Tony Muhammad. They said these words to me. The mayor, Eric Garcetti, he said, Minister Muhammad, we need your help. I'm like, what the hell? I put him on speakerphone because I couldn't believe it. He said, Brother Muhammad, we need your help. We need you and the nation to go back. You all are the only ones that they trust. As God is my witness, he said, I'm asking you in the name of the city, would you help me? I have the chief of police. And I said, Mayor, I'm obligated. We were headed back anyway. I said, but I ask you one thing, Mayor. We will go and make an assessment, and we may need barriers. We may need things to help us. Would the police kind of give us aid? Now, we don't need you touching our people. We'll do that part. But I need cooperation from the LAPD. And the chief said, Minister Muhammad, this is the chief. And I give you my word that we will take the lead from the Nation of Islam. That's big. I was dumbfounded. I was like, what the hell? Here we are supposed to be a hate group, and they calling the hate group to keep the peace. Look. So he said, we'll follow your lead. Whatever you ask us to do, sir, we'll follow your lead. I couldn't believe it. I get Brother Captain Halim, I said, brother, line the brothers up. And when we went back to ground zero, it was hundreds of riot cops. And y'all know the FOI, we get that Allah swag in us. Huh? We start calling on the guard. We drilling a block away. The people could hear us coming. Whose soldiers are we? Whose soldiers are we? We marching into the scene. Boy, I'm telling you, I wish you were there, brothers and sisters. And as we coming up on the scene, black people was cheering. It's like, that's our police. And when we get to the police, they all hard, but they had to open up for the nation and let us in on a crime scene. And I said to the mayor, after we make our assessment, would you go before the press and tell the press you asked for the help of the Nation of Islam? I wanted him to do that because I wanted that to be a punch in the face of our Jewish haters. I wanted the world to know that they asked the nation to go keep the peace. And the next day in a press conference, the mayor and the chief of police said, we asked for the help of Minister Tony Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. The press was like, what? I'm about to close with this. It was just, when we went back to the scene, it was the FOI and the police. I couldn't believe it. They was doing everything we asked. The homie was saying, damn, cuz. You know, I've been around them so much, man. Say, wait a minute, cuz, they did what y'all say do? You know, and I kind of tested. I said, sir, come here. I'm sorry, brother minister, I had to show out a bit. You know, after they done whooped up on me. Come here, sir. I need you to do this. Yes, sir. You run and go get it done. Let me tell you, when we took over that scene, not even an argument for a whole week broke out on that scene. Our leader, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was so touched by the brother's murder that our leader, he sent in weapons for us to use, but our weapon was the final call newspaper. Oh my God. Boy, them bullets was coming in. He had that picture or a picture like that on the front page, 150,000 newspaper, and Brother Fontaine came with the paper, and our people was taking that paper, crying. And when Nipsey Hussle's mother and grandmother saw that picture, the grandmother hugged the picture and said, "Thank Minister Farrakhan. He loves my grandson." I'm crying. I'm like, look at this man from Chicago pouring love into LA, and the minister wouldn't come. Then the gang members started calling for Louis Farrakhan. He said, "No, brother, I'm not coming unless the family want me." And when I went and met with the mother said, "Are you kidding me?" His brother, Black Sam, I can't say you what he said. He said, "Man, we F with him." No, that's big in the streets, brother. When the streets say they F with you, F with him. See, brother, y'all been in the mosque too damn long, you know. You better get out in that street, man, and learn what's happening. See, you'll get offended. "Hey, man, we F with you." You be like, "Me, what?" No, it's a love thing, brother. In fact, Live Nation, who was helping to plan the funeral, wanted to fight against it. And Black Sam, Nipsey brother, said, "Man, not him. You'll take everybody else off but him." That's LA. That's the final call. And on the third day, on the what day? The third day after Nipsey Hussle was murdered, I want you to look at this next video, because this is what happened on the third day. Just check it out. If the brothers would pull up that video.
3 days after the murder of Brother Nipsey Hussle, we witnessed a miracle from Almighty God Allah. That on that day, the gangs came together like we've never seen before. Mortal enemies coming together to pay their respects and show their love. For the first time in the history of Los Angeles gangs, black men came together on the basis of a black man murdering a black man. It reminds me what Allah says in the Holy Quran, Surah 3, titled The Family of Amran. Verses 102 and 103, Allah says, "And hold fast by the covenant of Allah altogether, and be not disunited. And remember Allah's favor to you when you were enemies. Then He united your hearts, so by His favor you became brethren. And you were on the brink of a pit of fire. Then He saved you from it. Thus Allah makes clear to you His messages, that you may be guided. And from among you there should be a party who invite to good and enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. And these are they who are successful." This was a most powerful day, brothers and sisters. And so we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for these gang members who came together. You could hear them say all week long, "Tell Big Boss." We heard him. We are uniting.
Takbir! 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 Oh Allah. They call the minister Big Boss. The minister's spirit is so loved by the streets that when he came to Jerusalem, because LA is a type of Jerusalem, that the members of the nation, when we went and paid our salute, little did we know, in my opinion, we were ushering in Palm Sunday, because it was 3 days before Palm Sunday. And Palm Sunday represented Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a foal. The foal is a young donkey. Nipsey was that young donkey. And Jesus has said to his disciples, there's a donkey in a court tied together. Go untie them, for I have need of them. And when Jesus showed up in Jerusalem, the people wanted to know, who is this man? And when Minister Farrakhan came, the streets were saying, that's Farrakhan, nigga. That's the leader. That's the big boss. And when the minister spoke, he spoke of the red and the blue star coming together. And after the minister finished speaking, when we were driving Nipsey Hussle's hearse through the streets of LA, the gang members started riding around tying the red and the blue rags, and they were screaming, Big Boss, we heard you. Big Boss, we coming together. I'm talking about Farrakhan, brothers and sisters. I close with this. 1 week after Palm Sunday, the crucifixion of Jesus started with the press. A week after Palm Sunday, palm only means a palm is when one does a military salute to a fallen soldier. And on that day, the members, after everybody else was paying their respects, the Brown gangs came out. There's a picture of me embracing a Latino gang member from the 13th Street. And he said to me, Brother Tony, I'm coming here from my hood. We want you to know you are more than a father figure than just a black gang. I said, I know, brother. That's why I'm wearing a brown uniform. And that man fell in my arm. His hood fell in our arms. He cried like a baby. He said, tell Minister Farrakhan he's a father to us too. Oh, man, the Spirit of God is rising. He used Nipsey Hussle. Then after that, other gang members, the Samoan gangs. Oh, my God. You ever seen the Samoan gangs? They're called the Tonga Crips. A brother, he was 6'5", came to me. Brother, you Tony Muhammad? I looked up, I said, yes, sir. He said, I want you to know we in. We in. All wars is stopping. I'm like, wow. The Samoan, the Tonga Crips, they fed over 10,000 people that day. Because the island that they're from in the Pacific, they say they're from an island of love. I'm talking, brother, we ain't never seen this kind of unity. On that day, the Rolling 60s has been in the longest fighting war in the history of gangs in LA. It was the Rolling 60s and the A-Tray gangsters that started Crips killing Crips. And when on this day, the A-Tray gangsters and the Rolling 60s came together in the parking lot, everybody got scared because that war is so bloody and so deep that when the A-Tray gangsters showed up to their mortal enemies, they faced each other and they stared each other down, and then a few minutes later they embraced and they say the war is over. We're tired of this. Everybody started crying. The police started crying. The women started crying. And I want to thank, there are 3 brothers. Brother Duran X, who's a Crip. In my mosque, our first officer, Brother James 8 Muhammad, he's a Blood. Brother William, Brother Anzar, they were very instrumental that on that day, 280 different gang sets stopped all their beefing. I don't think you heard me. It's 500 and some different gangs. 280 came together to form the United Hood Nation. 280 came together to form the United Hood Nation. So I close. This enemy is in trouble. A week after this, the demonstration by the Nation of Islam. I have to thank all the members of the Nation of Islam from Mosque 27, from Mosque 54, from Mosque 97. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. For when we came with that wreath and we had the crescent in red and blue flowers, the gang members was just crying. We did a salute and we held it for 33 seconds. When we walked the sisters over to ground zero, it was so beautiful that women, about 8 women, fell to their knees crying, saying, "That's our nation. We got a nation." They were crying, black and brown. Sisters, you don't know how powerful you are. And the gang members, when we saluted, you saw Crips and Bloods with the ugliest salutes in the world. But they saluted on that day. I close. 1 week later, that tape of the believers have reached over 50 million people around the world. I was blessed to get inbox from Denzel Washington thanking the minister for what we did. Magic Johnson. I got inbox from Naomi Campbell, who inboxed me and she said, "I watched this video 25 times and every time I watched it, I can't stop crying. Tell Minister Farrakhan I said thank you from the bottom of my heart." I got inbox from brothers from Yemen, brothers from Saudi Arabia, brothers from Palestine, inboxing us, thanking us because they never seen the strength of the Nation of Islam like they seen it. So 1 week later, they snatched Minister Farrakhan off of Facebook. You did him a favor. You snatched him off Instagram. You did him a favor. He's more famous now than he ever have been.